Welcome in, everybody, to Rising to the Occasion. I am your host, joined as always by Jeremy Russell. And tonight, we're going to be breaking down, going through because we're less than 24. I mean, by the time this episode is released, it is tonight that we start the college football playoffs second round, getting into some of the most highly anticipated games of college football. And it's a year, too, where, Jeremy, I mean, honestly, I feel like it is so wide open so far this year.
100%, dude. Like you can see in past years to where it's almost kind of necessarily set in stone on how it's going to be, but this year is definitely wide open. I mean, you look at just how some of the starts of the games have been, like just seeing JMU in here and seeing these other teams in here. It's like, what the heck are they even doing in here? But I mean, there's no real definite team that's a for sure lock in for getting into the national championship. Like you look at any of these games that have remaining for the Elite Eight. I mean, it's honestly anybody's ball game, and I mean, the biggest thing you got to do at the end of the day is play four solid quarters and just bear down your minimum mistakes. And the one big thing that you preach about is your touchdown to interception ratio, and just do whatever you can and win the ball game, and then you can move on stride to the next week.
Yeah, and we're gonna start off with the Cotton Bowl, the one first. I mean, you gotta start off there first. I think one of the more
Hmm.
exciting games. It's on New Year's Eve. We remember, what was it? A couple seasons ago, a couple years ago, New Year's Eve game with Ohio State, Georgia. One of like the all time greats, and it was like Ohio State was so close and then misses the field goal. Uh, it's a different Ohio State team. An Ohio State team that just feels like they know how to win. But it's against a Miami team that is so hard for me to define because when you look at this matchup and you try to write it all out on paper and just look at what matters on the field, and I feel like Miami should be your favorite. But instead, we have Ohio State, who's missing their offensive coordinator for this game, and will now be the offense is going to be called by Ryan Day himself now. And then you've got I don't know. I just feel like everything about this Ohio State team right now, they should not be a 10-point favorite, sitting at -9.5 on most sports books right now. And so, just really interesting here with the 12-1 Ohio State going against Miami Hurricanes, who just took down in a very powerful fashion, took down Miami there, or sorry, took down Texas A&M in the first round. So yeah, they took themselves down. No, but they took down Texas A&M in that extremely low scoring game, but just a game that they had control of, and got out of that first round the way that they needed to.
100%. I mean, you look at what they did in the first round. The score may have not done said the whole justice if it didn't get a chance to watch the game. I mean, they were both teams were honestly battling all to the wall here, and I mean, it was one of those stalemate kind of games to where one team's going to make one little itty bitty mistake, and then the other team's going to capitalize on it. But I mean, like, just this is definitely going to be a really really fun game. I mean, the last time I had to actually do some research, I think this is the first meeting between the two programs since 1997. And the series, I think, is currently tied at 2-2, if membership are correct. I was looking at my notes earlier, but I mean, I'll just kind of kick it off a little bit, Josh. Going to like talking about the journeys between these two teams, and I'll start with Miami for first. Like you look at what they've been through, and just look at their key stats for example, looking at their stats for PPG, they're sitting at 32.2, then having 414 and a half yards per game. I mean, they're just allowing 13 PPG, which is an absolute it's definitely dominant, especially coming to this time of the year. I mean, there's overall dominating, like the first round dominance, like they gave with the 10-3 defensive masterclass against A&M. It was definitely a crazy game for only being 13 points for the entire game. I was definitely not expecting that. I have to go back, and I know you and I were kind of talking about it. It's going to be one of those little higher scoring games, but I mean, 10-3, that's definitely a crazy aspect to have. I mean, just holding the Aggies just to a little over 4 yards per play at Kyle Field. I mean, it's definitely a big time thing for that defense and being able to sack their quarterback for Marcel Reed, not once, not twice, not three times, but a whopping 7 times, Josh. I mean, that is your defense is having a good day. It's if you get to the quarterback at least once, but no, they squashed that and said, "Watch this, we're going to get to him 7 times." I mean, that's definitely crazy to think, but I mean, it's between the offense and the defense. I mean, talking a little more about the defense. I mean, having that game coaching interception in the end zone with 24 seconds left at crunch time. I mean, that's definitely huge. But looking at this Miami team, you know as much as I do. There's this one particular guy that we're used to talking about, and that's a guy named Carson Beck. I mean, obviously, you've never heard the name Carson Beck. Obviously, the former Georgia quarterback. I mean, he's been sensational since transferring. I mean, it's still it's still hard to wrap my mind around Carson Beck not being with the Georgia Bulldogs, but I mean, it is what it is. He's just doing what's best for him and just better his career and everything. I mean, he's for looking at his stats for the season, he's 277 of 373. I had to write this down because I mean these are some big numbers here. He's at 74.3 percentage for 3,175 yards, with 26 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. And I know you're going to probably talk about a little bit about that because I mean the touchdown to interception ratio. I mean that's a good number. It's obviously not close to each other. It's definitely a good attribution to have to yourself. But I mean,
Well,
it's
and with that too, I think six of those, I believe, six of those interceptions were early in the season. So
yeah.
that's one thing with Carson Beck. I just feel like he's just gotten so much better as he's got, as the season's progressed. And you already kind of talked about the defense. The defense is really what this Miami team is all about. That's what I think is just so fascinating. Is just seeing how this defense can just hold them in any game, and it's a defense that's going to be tested against Ohio State, no doubt. I think Ryan Day is going to throw all of the playbook, the entire playbook, all at them, and so it's going to be interesting. And then Carson Beck, just he's gotten so much better as the season's gone along, and quietly so.
100%, dude. I mean, Carson Beck has just really been one of those kind of players to where you put him in a situation, he is going to do whatever he can to make it happen. I mean, it doesn't matter whether he needs to use his legs, whether he just use a deep shot down the field. I mean, he's just been absolutely crazy, and the stretch that he's had has just been absolutely crazy. I mean, the last 5 games he's had almost 1,300 yards. It's 1,228 to be exact. 12 touchdowns, only one interception with a 78% completion and a 10.8 YPA. I mean, that's just saying something, especially now it comes down to we don't have next week to bounce back. This is either we make it or we go home here. I mean, I've said that a lot, but I mean, you got to think about it. This college playoffs. If you don't have that mindset on your mind, I mean, you definitely need to get to the team and have a reevaluation to see what's going to go through your mind. But I mean, it's just definitely crazy to think that the proven clutch performer. I mean, like especially with the season opening win versus Notre Dame being 27-24. I had to stop and think for a second for the score. I mean, just managing a low scoring grind versus A&M. I mean, it's definitely crazy to think, Josh. But I mean, like you know as much as I do with having Carson Beck at the helm and going against a coach like Ryan Day. I mean, you said it the best. There's not going to be a single page in that playbook that's going to be overlooked at. I mean, the offensive weapons are definitely going to be one thing. The defensive weapons for Carson Beck are going to be a whole different thing. But I mean, just looking outside of that QB room and just everybody that they have, I mean, they do have some offensive weapons, Josh. I mean, you talk about like Mark Fletcher, Malachi Tony. I mean, these are some cats that definitely know how to play ball, and they're here to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's a Miami team that is. I mean, we talked about Ohio State. Not they're going to make sure that no page is overlooked in that playbook. Same for Miami. And I think that
Hmm.
they're going to lean on that defense, but they definitely don't want to sit there and only having put up 10 points like they did against Texas A&M in that first round. So
Yeah.
escaping the first round, absolutely necessary, and a great win for them. But then moving on to Ohio State, who is arguably the best team in the nation, right? I mean, the entire season they were basically the number one team in the nation, and their only blemish on the season being that 13-10 loss against Indiana, which you could really chalk up to missed field goals and a few slight screw ups that could have gone your way. And so and it's still Indiana's. Indiana's the one that won the game. They're the ones that took control. They made it count when it mattered the most. But for Ohio State, sitting there at 34.9 points per game, and then their offense is also putting up 430 yards a game as well. And the defense, who is the nation's best defense when it comes to points per game, only allowing 8.2 points per game. So it's a very strong defense that is proven. I think that the over under was sitting right around 40 and a half or something like that. Yeah, 40 and a half was the last I saw. So, I mean, and rightfully so, because we're talking about Miami's defense and now going over to Ohio State's defense. Again, very tough. When you break down position groups, though, that's where I see like the slight edge goes towards Miami. I think you look at Julian Sayin, younger guy, less experience than Carson Beck. But I think he's one of those quarterbacks that has really shined throughout the season, done a really good job, and in that Indiana loss too. What was concerning and what kind of shook Ohio State's offensive playbook up a little bit was all the pressure that Indiana was able to get back there with, and
Definitely.
don't sit here and think that Miami can't get back there as well, because they've got one of the best defensive lines in the nation, and they love getting in the backfield. Julian Sayin was sacked 5 times against Indiana, the most he's been sacked all season. And then also in that 13-10 loss against Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, they only had 2 red zone touchdowns in the last 7 trips inside the 20. So only 2 for 7. That's
Wow.
that this is a team. I guess not just in that game. I mean, in the last 7 trips total. But it's one of these games where it's really going to come down to Julian Sayin. And it's a kid that was a Heisman finalist. He was talked among the best of all of college football when it comes to any position group, let alone in the quarterback position group. Throwing for over 3,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Talk about that touchdown to interception ratio. Doesn't get much better than that. And he's throwing 78% on the
Hmm.
season. We've talked about this already when we were talking about the Heisman race and just how impressive he's been all season long. He has outperformed Carson Beck, no doubt, but Carson Beck has more experience and more big time game experience on top of that. And so I think that's really interesting to look at. When Ohio State's offensive line is on top of their game, though, that's where I really think that this is a special group, because Julian Sayin is sitting there at 83.1% with 2,626 of his 3,323 yards coming from when he's not pressured, and
Hmm.
24 of his 31 touchdowns when he's not pressured. So when that pocket is clean, when the offensive line is doing their job and keeping him clean, he is one of the best, if not the best, in the nation. And so I think that's really what it comes down to. And of course, when you've got guys like Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate out there, it's really hard not to just toss it up and expect them to go grab the ball. And plenty of other weapons too. We know Ohio State for their receivers. They are a wide receiver university for a reason. And then of course with that defense, it's just comes down to Miami's pass rush against how well Ohio State can protect Julian Sayin, in my mind.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Josh. I mean, it's one thing to put points up on the board, but you got to have an own line that's going to protect your QB so those points can be put up on the board here. I mean, Miami did record 7 sacks versus A&M. I mean, that's against an A&M team, but now you look at the Ohio State University here and them playing against each other. Like, I'm kind of looking up, like, can they replicate this versus Ohio State? I mean, having that kind of a defensive pass rush against Ohio State's offensive line. I mean, you said it the best. Once they're clicking on all cylinders here, they're absolutely dominant here. But once that offensive line has one little mishap, you know as much as I do, Josh, that those defensive linemen are definitely going to be noticing that, and the middle linebackers and everybody else on that team is going to be noticing that little bit of weakness here. Like, you definitely do have to play your physical A game here, so that defensive line doesn't notice that itty bitty mistake, and then can definitely cost you your team here, Josh. But like, there's just a lot really to look at stake for this upcoming game. I mean, like, you talk about Ohio State again. I mean, having allowed only 6 sacks or 12 games before giving a 5 just to Indiana. I mean, that's that's just crazy. Like if Miami does disrupt Sayan's timing, like I know last time I looked, the average throw was 2.9 seconds, which is 103rd in the country. I mean, like you know as much as I do. I mean, when you even get into college, just even alone the NFL in general, that's the one big thing that a lot of people look at is that snap to throw ratio. I mean, you gotta be quick on the trigger to do that kind of a stuff. But I mean, it's definitely something to where if you have that little moment of hesitation, that defensive line could be swallowing you up like crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and no
it's the
doubt. And it all comes down to that line of scrimmage for this game too, I think. And it's what's tough is I lean towards Miami when it comes down to the line of scrimmage. Really on both sides. I think Miami's offensive line is better and Miami's defensive line is better, but I still feel like Ohio State is a good enough, solid enough team everywhere else to make the difference. And that's what makes it so difficult about this game for me. But it is going to come down to it. If Ohio State can pull it out and win that line of scrimmage, no doubt they win this game. It's I'm not sure that they win this game if they end up losing it the way that Texas A&M did to Miami. So that's really big. But let's go keys to victory. I'll let you give two, and I'll give two for each team. Let's start off with Miami. What is Miami's key to victory?
starting off with Miami. The one that I can just think of off the top of my head is just Carson Beck having to avoid making mistakes against that nation's best defense, just because they're the nation's best defense for a reason. I mean, you can't make any single mistake here, Josh, because you do make one single mistake, you make a bad read, you make a bad look, that could be going for six the other way here. I mean, those are big time implications here. But Carson Beck does have a lot of history, obviously, when it comes to big key moments like that, and being able to play when he was with Georgia. But I mean, his report card does not say a whole bunch as much as what you would see him do. I mean, Carson Beck is an absolute dog, no pun intended. But I mean, it's just going to be one big thing for Carson Beck. But if I had to honestly pick between outside of that, like keep Mark Fletcher running downhill, looking at their offensive side. I mean, contr- just the biggest control lock, just because when he gets those feet moving, he's he honestly reminds me of another like a college version of Derrick Henry. Just when those feet get moving, good luck trying to stop that train and get him knocked off the track. Just because you better have that whole team on him like a frog on a June bug. But it's definitely going to be one of those moments to where you got to look at the offensive side of the ball and just get your big key reads here for Miami. Then if you're not looking for the air, you got to look for the run, and having Mark Fletcher do what he knows how to do best is put points up on the board. But Josh, Ohio State definitely has a really good matchup. What do you think could be their big time keys for victory?
Well, I'll start off with my two for Miami as well, and kind of playing off the Mark Fletcher getting downhill. Again, that goes with the offensive line, but I'll go over to the defensive side because, like I've been saying, I think it's just all about that defensive line for Miami. That's the most crucial part of your game against Ohio State. And so getting consistent pressure on Julian Sayin, and doing so without blitzing, because you have to recognize the wide receiver corps that you're going against as well. So you have to recognize that this is an offense full of dudes. You can't just focus on rolling out an all out blitz. You've got to get consistent pressure on him with your front
Definitely.
four. Just getting four guys back there and putting pressure. And the one thing is, you don't really have to worry incredibly about him running the ball. He's not an extreme dual threat, but don't let him catch you off guard. And then creating explosive plays for Miami, because that's something that they were unable to do against Texas A&M. But I think I look at one guy that is able to make explosive plays on their team. I think you find explosive plays with guys like, I'll throw out Malachi Tony as being one of them. You've got to find a way to get explosive plays. Get Malachi Tony out into space. Let him work. Let him do his magic in open space. And I think that's really a key for Miami. That, and then getting pressure, back there on Julian Sayin without having to blitz. And it's got to be consistent. But let's go over to Ohio State. Pick two keys to victory for Ohio State there.
My honest opinion for two key victories looking at for Iowa State. Like I know you just talked about it, getting that ball off quick. I mean, Julian Salen, excuse me, like he can't sit back there in the pocket for those long periods of time. I mean, having it hold back for almost 3 seconds, that's I'm not trying to say anything bad, but that could be a disaster waiting to happen. Like you look at what the big time quarterbacks in the NFL do when they hold the ball on for forever. It's a 50-50 shot. Either they throw it away or they throw it up in the air, then they can make something out of nothing. But I mean, this is those moments to where you got to make everything count here. You can't be holding on the ball for that long. And Sayan's a great quarterback. I mean, obviously, like you said, he was up for the Heisman as a freshman. That's an absolute unbelievable attribute to be a part of. I mean, that just says it all, honestly. But outside of that, I mean, another big thing that I can think of is just being able to shut down Carson Beck's hot hands here. I mean, you got to force him to make into mistakes here, just because if Carson Beck is on his game, you know you're going to be in for a dogfight. I mean, Carson Beck has had a lot of history for making big time clutch decisions, and I think he's just going to keep showing up and shutting out. And if Ohio State can just do anything that they can to shut Carson Beck down, they're going to have a real good look at Trent at getting a W against a really good Miami team here, Josh.
Yeah, I think I'm going to look more towards Ohio State's offense specifically because I
Mhm.
don't really have any doubts about their defense. Their defense is going to be tough. It's going to be fun. But like I said, Ryan Day calling the offense. I'm interested to see how that shapes out. I know he's not new to it. I know this is nothing new for Ohio State, but
Yeah.
him calling the offense, it's different in a big time game, and so I'm interested to see that. Can they convert red zones? Because that's the big one for me. You've got to convert when you get to the red zone, and you've got to convert those opportunities into touchdowns more than anything. And so, especially in this big time game, hopefully I can stop bumping my camera mount up there. But big time game, big time opportunities. The red zone is where it's going to matter the most for Ohio State. Can they win in those red zone opportunities? And then sticking with the offense, just like I picked with Miami and a key player for them, I think you have got to find a way to let Jeremiah Smith make those big game changing plays, and he's going to have. I'm talking like having a couple, two or three game changing plays. Because I think when you look back in that Indiana loss for Ohio State, they were able to get him the ball at times, and he would make noise, but they wouldn't let him get into the rhythm to really change the way that the outcome of the game was. And so I think putting it in your best player's hands, letting him make the play, and getting that going. It's really crucial for Ohio State. You've got to get that offense rolling. I think that offense needs to score 20 plus points. Anyways, Ohio State favored by 9.5. Like I said too, Jeremy, I just feel really weird about this game because I like Ohio State. I think as a team, I think they're the better team. They're without a doubt the better team going into this matchup. But when you break it down individually, you look at which quarterback has more experience. You look at which offensive line you would pick, and I think Miami's got the better offensive line. When you look at the defensive lines, I think Miami has a better defensive line. And so, like, you just pick, of course, I think Ohio State has the better wide receiver core. But I don't know. It's like there's so many things leaning towards Miami. But for me and my pick, I'm going to pick Ohio State to win this game. I think Ohio State still finds a way to win it. And I'm going to say Ohio State 20, Miami, let's see, 17. Miami 17. It's going to be a close game. But
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Ohio State. We'll say 2017.
This it's definitely going to be a really good game, Josh. I mean, I think both of these teams are going to be giving all out, all to the wall. But I mean, the one particular thing that I always look at is your report card here. I mean, I'm leaning more towards Miami here, just because you look at Carson Beck and having that history and just being in these types of situations here. and knowing what to do at the right moment. But don't get me wrong, Saiyan can absolutely make an absolute fool out of yourself if you're thinking you're going to doubt him. I mean, he's definitely going to come out in this game blazing, but a part of me is just leaning morally towards just that report card and just seeing what Carson Beck has done and just even that running game for like what we were talking about. It's definitely going to be an uphill battle, but I think it's definitely going to be a really, really tight game. Like, I honestly think this kind of contingency is almost like what you're going to see, I think, in the national championship, if I had to just say that and toot my own horn here. But I mean, I'm going, obviously, I'm going Miami here, but if I had to pick a score predicament, I think it's going to be, I think it's 24-21.
So
I'm
you like
keeping it
Miami to
close.
win it?
Yeah, I got
Really?
Miami winning it.
That's an interesting one. I mean, I mean, the way they played in the first round, it wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me if
Mhm.
they came out. And remember last year, all four teams that had a bye ended up losing last year. So
That's
that is
true.
an interesting narrative. Does that happen again this year? And I
Time will
think
tell.
when you look at Indiana against Alabama, that's a very tough matchup. Texas Tech against Oregon, which we'll talk about, very tough matchup. And then let's see, Georgia against Ole Miss, tough matchup, but that's probably the most likely to have the victory there, right? So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, just very interesting when you look at it overall. I like the pick, but it's going to be a very fun game nonetheless. Battle of the trenches, no doubt, and it's yeah. I mean, what better way to spend your New Year's Eve than watching a little bit of college football playoffs? But anyways, Ohio State, Miami, Friday night. Sorry, not Friday night. Feels like a Friday night, but I guess
Yeah.
Wednesday night, New Year's Eve night, bleeding into it and getting into what's coming down the stretch to be a very fun college football playoff. But, anyways, we appreciate everybody so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow us on social media, and you can find everything we do at rising2.com. Until next time, we'll see you later.